Page 50, Home on the Range. It's a very famous melody here in the United States. Let's look it over and go through. We have some challenges here to deal with, so that's all right. We'll talk about all the challenges. It's 2 pages long. Treble and bass clef, 1 sharp in the key signature, so we're either in the key of G major or E minor, because those are the 2 keys with 1 sharp in the key signature. So look at the end. The bottom of page 51, you're here. That is a G major chord. These notes, if I put the D on top, it's a G major chord, so I figure we're in the key of G major. As far as the scales go, because now we're starting to do minor, go ahead and do the E minor scale also. So G major and E minor scale both, 1 octave up and down, do the trill and all that junk. And now 3/4 time, we come in on a pickup beat. So we're coming in on beat 3. If you look at the end of page 51, that's just a half note in that last measure. So that's the first 2 beats, and then beat 3's here. Let's take this one hand at a time. We're moving around a bit. Things are getting tricky. Right hand, they want a 2-1. That's fine if you want to do that. It's good fingering. You can also just do a 1-1 because this is not a fast piece. And then now reach out. See, we just changed hand positions. Now 3rd finger, we changed hand position, and then going on 2, 3. Now I used all those G's to change hand positions again. And then at the end of the second line, I just reach down and use that 1 again because it's easier. You do it again. And they want 5, 4, 3. That's okay. Crossover. A little bit about fingering here. This is the bottom of page 50. First 2 measures. You're crossing over here. Sometimes when you cross over like this, you'll cross over and stay there. You'll change hand positions. Stay there and then. So now I'm in this position. Sometimes you'll just cross over for 1 note and you'll stay where you are. Which you do depends on the music and what's needed. I like to just cross over and stay there. But if you look at the top of page 51, we got this. I need to be in this position. So at the bottom of page 50, I want to be close to this position. Well, if I cross over 1 finger, I'm there. I'm good enough. If I go this, I'm out of position now to come up here. There is a 1 beat rest. I can move, but I want to be in position. So at the bottom of page 50, I'm just going to cross over for 1 note. I'm going to stay where I am. So the thumb is on that G. And then top page 50. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then an F sharp. Now if you don't want to be up in here, you have to change things slightly. Here, you just reach down to 2, but I'm going to have to use little finger again. Here. Because I need fingers for these. I got to have these other fingers for that. So it's, again, at the beginning, and then 2, 5, and then for the dotted half note, I'm going to use 2 again. So it's 2 and 4. I could use a 1, but again, if I use a 1, I'm out of position to go on, because I got to be down here. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to use 2, 4. This way I can just reach down and use thumb for both of those 8th notes. And then 3. Second line, 4, 3, 2, 3. It's kind of nice. Good exercise. It's good for you. You don't have to. You can, I'll leave that up to you, but I like this idea because it will come in handy with other music if you can get used to using different fingers on repeated notes. Anyway, going on. At the end of the line, again, a 1. We've had this before, but at the end of the page, the last line on page 51, see, this is the same as what we had at the bottom of page 50. Here we're done with the song, so we can just cross over and stay there. Here, we can just stay there this time. Or you can just do it with 1. I'll leave that up to you as to whether you stay down or not, but you need to be able to do either one. And the left hand, well, this is the challenge. This is a common pattern in piano, Eventually, you'll actually learn to feel this distance. You got this note and this note. This note is part of this chord. It's just here. You're lifting up. I don't have a lot of help for you. You just got to be able to. Try and get these notes down at the same time if you can. Second line, second measure, the half note, you can do that if you want, or you can do that depending on how big your hands are. And then third measure, second line here. So you gotta hold that C down and it's tied, so hold it down. They put a natural in front of the C, it's not needed, it's a natural anyway, because the sharp in the previous measure is only good for that measure. But it doesn't hurt anything being there. That's what you're doing in the left hand pretty much. So we put the hands together and we got this. Here and then here. And then here. And then here. That's tricky. Second line, first measure. Here. Here. These notes here. See this? The A and the C are both tied. And at the end, you're like that. All those notes are down because that C is tied all the way to the end. And they're done. Okay. Now, top of page 51, you're up here. 2, 3. Now, make sure in the top of page 51 in the third measure, you finger that dotted half note with 2-4. Regardless of how you fingered the previous measure, however you want, but make sure that that's 2-4. That way your thumb's ready to go on. And then again, the C's tied, hold it down. Now that it's just a half note there in the C, so when you hear, it's all by itself. See, before it was a dotted half note where you're holding it down, but now it's not. These little differences we look for in piano because in a lot of music it makes a lot of difference. So look for these little things and be accurate on how long you hold these notes down. At the bottom of the page, the last line on page 51, you're here. This left, make sure you hold that down because it's a dotted half note. You add these notes to it. So you go through, work out the hands together, and then go back through and get rid of the hesitation so it's a steady beat throughout. Keep it slow, but a steady beat. And we think about the articulation. And in this one, it's connected. You lift up for the phrases. Lift up. Lift up. And the lift up. Now here in the third line, that's not really a phrase. You can connect that. If you read the words, it's all connected there. Don't lift up, lift up. Now, yeah. So connect these as best you can, and the left hand do the best you can. You'll learn to develop this when to look down and when to look up. It'll come in time because you got to look down for that, and then you're looking ahead to see what's coming. And it takes practice. It's all part of the practicing. Now, once you have the articulation down, then we think about the dynamics. Not a lot going on here. MF at the beginning is mezzo forte, which is sort of loud. The melody, not loud, just sort of loud. This left hand has to be soft. You're light in the left hand and sort of heavy in the right. It's like in the second line, last two measures. All the time I'm doing this, I want to hear that. Don't drown it out. When you get to the top of page 51. Now it's soft. That's interesting. Usually it's loud. Piano is soft. That's the melody. This left has to be very soft. At the end of the second line, you go back up. That's interesting because usually this home in the range, that's loud. I don't know if that's an error or not, but it says soft, so we'll do it soft. Now, a little bit about form, musical form. Don't talk a lot about it, but a little bit. You see at the bottom of page 50, you have the double bars. I've talked about these before. That is the musical symbol for different sections, splitting sections. It doesn't split a section. It indicates going from one section to another. It's like chapters in the book. You go to a new chapter. Double bars. So page 50 is one section, and then page 51 is another section. Well, they've labeled the section on page 51 as the chorus. Sometimes it's called a refrain. Doesn't matter what it's called. The point is we have a verse, and that's page 50, and then you have a chorus. Here's page 51. This is very common in vocal music. We don't get it so much in piano music, but it's very common in vocal music. The point is you can have more than one verse. There can be multiple verses. But the words in the chorus don't usually change. They're almost always identical. Or at least for the most part they are. If they change, there's going to be very little occasionally. And that's the idea, is when you play it, if you have more verses to sing, you just pretend there's a repeat sign at the bottom of page 51. You just keep going through it for however many verses you have. And every time they do page 50, they'll be singing different words. But page 51, it'll be the same words every time. It's usually why a chorus is louder than the verse, because this is like the exciting part of it. Doesn't really affect how we play it. It's just so you understand a little bit about musical form and what's going on here. Now they've added pedal. Now we sort of need pedal because this is way too choppy. That just doesn't work. We need pedal to help us out. However, I'm going to suggest a few things on pedal. I usually do, so let's see what we got. You have to listen very carefully to the pedal and the effect it's having, and if you don't like it, change it. That's the whole idea. But don't just blindly pedal it like the music says to, because then you're not really listening to the effect it's having. You're just doing what the music tells you to do. I need you to listen to the music, to the sound, and be aware of what the effect the pedal has. That's, again, why we learn a piece without pedal first. Make sure the fingers are doing everything right first. So then when you add the pedal, we understand the effect it has. It's going to be overlapping or lag or pedal. It's whatever it is. I'm going to push the notes down first and then the pedal. And I'm going to change the pedal. That is, let it up right back down, just up and down. After I play the notes, so it overlaps just a little bit. See, this book doesn't like that technique. This author doesn't. But this is just a great deal, and I use it a great deal, and I encourage it. So just overlap just a hair. Don't overlap much, because then you can hear the overlap. But if it's just a hair, you won't pick it up. It's too short. So at the beginning, I need to pedal the pickup beat, because usually I don't pedal a pickup beat. But here I do because it's repeated. The only way I can connect them is to pedal it. So I got to pedal the pickup beat. Lift up. So we want to hear the breath. That. Lift up. Now, in the last two measures of the second line here. That's too much. I don't want all that junk. So what I'm going to do is lift the pedal at the bar line, and I don't need to pedal the last measure at all. So I'm clearing things out. Here. Left, left. Now, I'm connecting that, but not this. And I do need to pedal this because it's a repeated note. So I'm going to pedal that beat, but only because of the right hand. But change it. So again, the second line, the last two measures. You're here, lift up right there. Now, lift pedal, pretty much like so. The last line here, that's fine. You don't need to pedal that measure. At the end of the page, on page 50, make sure you lift up we want to hear one beat of rest. So lift up. 1, 2, rest. And then 51. Now here, I don't like this sound. Just listen. It's too choppy. So I'm going to go ahead and pedal the second measure. It'll be a little blurry, but I'd rather have the blurriness than the choppiness. So then change. Here. I'd rather have that than the choppiness. And then lift up. But you got to pedal on the repeated. Change it at the bar line here. And again, the end of the second line, just lift up on the measure. Lift up, there, here. And again, I got to pedal the pickup beat because it's repeated. And then the last line is here. Yeah, there's a retardando there. You slow down a little bit. That's sort of the pedaling. I'm pedaling it close to what they're saying, but I'm adding pedal there at the top of page 51. In the second measure, I'm pedaling that measure. I could make more suggestions. That just makes the pedaling more complicated, and I'd rather not. So just leave it at that. I didn't talk about the speed. I should have done that earlier. Moderato is espressivo. Moderato is just a nice leisure pace. Espressivo is more like interpreting it expressively. Well, you got to get past the mechanics and all that, and you get into the music, and then you can be espressivo. Just make sure you have a natural accent. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. To here, feel that. Please don't copy me. That's just one way of doing it. You could do it a whole lot of different ways. You make it yours. Get into the music. Take it at a different speed. Try different dynamics out. Experiment with the pedal a little bit. Let's play it together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. Not going to do any dynamics. Play both hands about the same. I need you to hear all the notes. If you have to, you just do it one hand at a time with me. The pedaling, I'm going to pedal it like I suggested. You can pedal it as you see fit. Now we come in on beat 3, so I'm only going to give us 2 counts. Ready, go, and that's it. Ready, go. Rest. 2, 3. 2, 3. Tie. 2 and. Four.